we choose primary 4 or 5? 5. Okay, but the word count, I guess 250. Some keywords we can put in: detective, suspicious. Okay, murderer.
This is murder.
Okay, and what else? Victim, something like that. And here we are going to paste the question. Just now I copied it. I paste the question here. It is a detective story. So what level do you want to choose? Grade 2, 3, or 4? I think I want, yes. I also want to choose grade 4.
Right.
Level 4 generated article. Tài xế khắc kẻ xâm sạch mặt. The mysterious disappearance of Mrs. Larry Ware, and when the incident happened at the grand mansion of Mrs. Larry, renowned jeweler company owner. It was a dark and stormy night, setting the perfect scene for a mystery to unfold. The suspect, Inspector Jack Black, had a challenging task ahead of him. The suspects included the two guests who were invited to Mrs. Larry's mansion that night, Kelly Lee and James So, as well as Mrs. Jackson, the housekeeper. Each of them had a potential motive and opportunity. Inspector Jack Black's investigation. Inspector Jack Black began his investigation by interviewing the suspects. Kelly Lee claimed she was in the garden during the time of the incident, admiring the rare flowers. James So insisted he was in the library, engrossed in a book. Mrs. Jackson, on the other hand, said she was in the kitchen preparing a late-night snack for Mrs. Larry. Inspector Jack Black then examined the scene of the disappearance. He found a broken vase near the front door, and a trail of muddy footprints leading to the back of the house. He also discovered a torn piece of fabric caught on a bush in the garden. What Inspector Jack Black found out after meticulously piecing together the clues, Inspector Jack Black realized that the torn piece of fabric matched the dress Kelly Lee was wearing that night. He also noted that the muddy footprints were too large to belong to Kelly Lee or Mrs. Jackson, leaving James So as the prime suspect. The truth uncovered. Confronted with the evidence, James So confessed. He had planned to steal Mrs. Larry's valuable jewelry and flee the country. However, Mrs. Larry caught him in the act, and in a panic, he knocked her unconscious and hid her in the cellar, planning to return later to finish the job. The resolution. Inspector Jack Black quickly rescued Mrs. Larry, who was shaken but unharmed. James So was arrested and taken into custody. The other suspects were cleared of any wrongdoing, and Mrs. Larry expressed her gratitude to Inspector Jack Black for his swift and thorough investigation. In the end, justice was served, and Inspector Jack Black's reputation as a brilliant detective was further solidified. Mrs. Larry, now more cautious than ever, decided to increase security at her mansion to prevent any future incidents.